What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm in a different location. I was gonna film in my room. My parents are renting out a place, so my room now is also kind of the office. So my brother's gaming in there currently, so I thought it'd be best if I didn't have screaming and shouting in the background. As I said, you'll see a number of different locations, but I think it actually looks pretty well. I'm next to the window, the lighting's great. It's a bit sunny, so awesome, we'll get to it. As you saw from the title, today's video is kind of about being productive while self-isolating. Obviously, as a student, we do still have work to do. Some people have online classes or just external assignments to complete. And while you're home, you know, you're in this environment of just chilling. And it's so hard to find the motivation to actually do anything. So I thought I would give you some tips of what I'm doing and what's helping me stay productive. For me personally, because I would actually be on placement right now, we don't have online classes per se, but as a physio society, we've actually implemented some groups which specify into the areas which placement would be in. So for instance, like women's health or pediatrics, orthopedics, oncology or whatever, and then we're looking at different articles and stuff and researching as a cohort. Obviously all of us are learning at the same time, so we're kind of helping each other in a way. What I wanted to say before anything is that this is a very strange time, and I will continue to praise those who are in the front line, who are putting themselves out there. But for those who are self-isolating, this is really the time to improve yourself in many ways, whether that be career, school, personal. So I kind of have two different sections. One is kind of what to do on a day-to-day basis, and then one's kind of more specific to when you're working. So for me, I really like to set an alarm. Now I know a lot of people, you know, like to be woken up by the light or whatever, and that's completely okay. But for me, I kind of like both of those. By setting that alarm, you're not going to lose a lot of the day by waking up at 11 or whatever, and you're creating that schedule. So you know, if you wake up at this time, you have this, you know, you have the rest of the day to complete however many tasks. For me, I know if I wake up at 10:30, 11, I'm gonna want to stay in bed because it's all nice and cozy, and you just want to chill and just lie there and you just want to stay all cuddled up in that bed. And it's just like, I don't know why, but it's the hardest thing to try and get out of bed. By setting an alarm, you just do it. By having that schedule, you're also helping it kind of become a habit. So in future, you know those classes will resume, you know life will continue. So by the time that happens, you will already have that schedule, instead of trying to change yourself from waking up at 10:30 to waking up at 7. And I know for me, I'll be going on placement, and that could be anywhere. I mean, my first placement, I was getting up at 5. Let me just close the door. I know even with an alarm, it's so easy just to press snooze and turn over. So my second point of the daily is to have a purpose, have a reason why you're getting up. Is it to go out and walk a dog? Is it to work out? Is it to have breakfast? That's what will motivate you to get out of bed. So for me, what my day kind of looks like is I wake up, I change my clothes, I have a small snack, and then walk my dog for kind of like 40 minutes to an hour. And then depending on the day, I'll either work out after that, or if it's a rest day, then I'll just have my breakfast. It's always great to get your heart rate up in the morning, because for me, I know I feel so much better if I do some form of exercise in the morning, and it just makes me a lot more productive for the rest of the day. And especially during self-isolation, I know you can only go out once a day, but just getting that heart rate up is just incredible for the body, just to keep that cardiovascular system really strong. When I do have breakfast, I like to have something that really fills me up, so then I'm not inclined to kind of snack in between. So that could be eggs on toast, avocado on toast, granola and yogurt. But let's just say, after a great workout and full stomach, your girl is ready to work. When you changed into some nice clothes, whether that be casual or comfy or whatever makes you feel most productive, this is when you can really sit down and start to get productive with work. So let's get into our second part of being productive. Number one is to set the scene. Where do you find that you work the best? Is it on your bed? Is it at the desk? Is it at the dining table? Really choose a place where you're not getting distracted. I know for me, it is most comfy, of course, to study in bed. But because my work is surrounded by handwriting notes or annotating articles, it really isn't the best for me to be on the bed. Another huge part of it for me is music. It really creates a nice ambiance when there's some nice lo-fi beats in the background, a table, a nice hot drink, and it just lets me calm down, really focus, and get me in the right mind state. Under the set the scene bullet point is having some water. So kind of in the first half of the day, because I've had that breakfast, I'm less inclined to have those snacks, but it is really important to have a jug of water or a big bottle of water, because there is research that finds if you're dehydrated, it makes you think that you're hungry. So that could just be another form of you getting distracted. It's also just really good to stay hydrated, and water is just beautiful. I love water. If you don't like the taste of water, add some fruit or some lemon or something like that in your drink to make it tasty. Major point number 2, once you sit down, is to create 2 different types of lists. One that's ongoing and one that's specific to what you're doing that day. An ongoing list, and then you can continuously add different points to that. It's just so easy to forget. Like, you'll see that there's no onions and you realize it in that moment, but then you forget when you're actually at the grocery store. So it's good to just write those down. And then with your daily ones, you can kind of split it into some categories, but that's what you have to complete in that day. So it could be something that I need to study that day, and then I'll further put bullet points into like what sections of that textbook. It just feels so good just to cross it out as you go along. It just keeps it very organized and that you're really hitting each point for each day. Point number 3 is to time manage. I find that it's very common to try and complete the easiest or the most fun tasks first. Whereas when you really think about it, the ones that take longer, you should be doing those first because you need more time throughout the day. You don't want to leave it until 8 p.m. to complete a task that takes 4 hours or whatever to complete. So when you're going through each of those tasks that you've written down in your to-do list, you really have to think hardest and most time-consuming versus easiest and quickest. Similarly to the time management is point number 4, which is prioritization. This is something that I have to think about both in relation to uni, but also when I'm on clinical practice, because you really have to prioritize which patients you want to see first. For instance, those who are one-day post-op, you really have to see those patients first, whereas those who are more maintenance, you would kind of put towards the bottom of the list. And connecting that to your work, you're wanting to prioritize those that need to be done in that moment versus those that, you know, those tasks that are due in a month or 4 months or whatever. If I give you an example, I have to annotate this article which takes about an hour and a half per an article for a meeting tomorrow, whereas I have an assignment which is a 10-page assignment due in about a month. So if I know that I have something due tomorrow, then I need to do that first. Just number 5, taking breaks. It's so easy just to continue working for hours and hours and hours, but you really have to think, you know, those 5 hours that you've been working, you're kind of rereading the same sentence like 10 times, you're kind of going on your phone, and little do you know, it's dinner time and you're like, oh my god, I have spent so long trying to study, I've achieved nothing. You're not dedicating some time to work and some time to break. So for me, what I like to do, I either do a 35 to 45 minute interval and then a 10-minute break, which I think is kind of like a Pomodoro timer. I just like my ordinary timer on my phone. I set 30 minutes or 45 minutes depending on what I'm working on. And then once that time's up, I set the 10-minute timer and I take my break and then I continue with that. But that's honestly if I just need to be really, really productive. Of course, this is super important. If you are feeling that you're being very productive in that time and the timer has gone off and you're just like, oh, but I'm just like, you're in that zone, then definitely just continue, keep going until that productivity dies, and you know it's dying because you'll start to gaze, you'll start to go on your phone, and once it becomes unproductive, that's when you set your break for timer. And then my final point is kind of the second half of the day. This is important, especially for me because I like food. So in between lunch and dinner, I tend to get very hungry. So my tip for you is to have snacks already prepared. I really like carrots, So I chop them up, I put them in a box, and I just chew on them, and it just makes me so full because the snacks with the water just is perfect. Of course, you can have, I don't know, digestives, you can have fruits, you can have, I don't know, popcorn. Because I know for me, if you're kind of like halfway through your article and all you're thinking about is food, you're gonna go get food. And then when you come back, it'll take so long for you to get back in that zone. But just to kind of finish this video, I do want to emphasize you shouldn't put too much pressure on yourself. Just really think about your mental and physical health during this very hard time and just trying to improve yourself. I think sometimes we forget to give ourselves some self-time and how important and valuable that is. I know this is an extreme, but it's a great time to try new things and just get habits going and get healthy routines. And obviously if you are a uni student or just a student in general, this is a great time to kind of differentiate yourself from everyone else, to try and strengthen your knowledge as a student and whatever you have in store in the future. Because you're putting in that work. Strengthen this thing and strengthen this. And I think it's just an amazing time for you really to what's valuable in your life right now and to set those attainable goals. And I just think it helps me to continue in being ambitious and, you know, continue being excited for the opportunities that could possibly come in the future. So I do think this is just a great time to try and build yourself. Anyway, I'm so sorry, I'm rambling. I can talk for so long and it's so bad. But thank you very much for watching, and I hope that kind of motivated you or gave you, you know, some insight into how to be productive during quarantine and everything. So have a great day, like and subscribe, turn post notifications on, and I'll see you next week. Bye!